The trade conflict between China and Europe in the electric vehicle EV sector is unfolding as a global economic drama, with repercussions extending far beyond the borders of these two giants. What began as an attempt by the European Union to protect its automotive industry is now gaining layers of complexity, exposing vulnerabilities in global supply chains and creating uncertainties about the future of electric mobility. In a world rapidly moving toward electrification, the decisions made today could shape the automotive landscape for decades to come. It all began with a historic decision. In October 2024, the European Union announced significant tariffs on EVs imported from China. Designed to protect European automakers from what was deemed unfair competition, these tariffs increased to as much as 45% for some manufacturers. The justification was clear. Europe argues that Chinese subsidies artificially lower the prices of Chinese EVs, making it difficult for European manufacturers operating in a more regulated market to compete. Underlying this measure is the fear that dependence on Chinese cars could further weaken Europe's position as an industrial leader. China's response was swift and strategic, signaling that the country was unwilling to accept these tariffs without retaliation. The Chinese Ministry of Commerce issued a statement advising its automakers to pause investments in European countries that supported the measure. Additionally, targeted retaliations were announced against France and Italy, two of the leading advocates of the tariffs. These actions included freezing planned investments in industrial facilities and commercial partnerships. The effects of this retaliation were immediate. In France, plans for a parts center by SAIC, one of China's largest automakers, were put on hold. This came at a time when the French government was actively seeking foreign investments as part of its post-pandemic economic strategy. In Italy, the situation was equally concerning. With an economy already facing structural challenges, the country had pinned its hopes on partnerships with Chinese brands to revitalize its automotive industry. Now, that bet appears uncertain. The crisis has exposed not only tensions between China and the European Union, but also divisions within the bloc itself. Germany, for instance, expressed concerns about the tariffs, fearing they could harm its own exports to the Chinese market. With significant trade relations at stake, Berlin argued that an escalation in the conflict could result in losses for both sides. This internal disagreement further complicates the European Union's ability to present a united front. For the United States, which is closely monitoring this confrontation, the indirect impact could be profound. The American automotive industry, which is also striving to expand its presence in the EV sector, finds itself in an ambiguous situation. On one hand, tensions between China and Europe could create opportunities for American manufacturers to enter markets where the Chinese presence is weakened. On the other hand, uncertainty in global supply chains could negatively impact production and costs in the U.S., especially for companies reliant on components or technologies of Chinese origin. This trade war also highlights a larger dilemma: global dependence on centralized supply chains. Many of the components used in electric vehicles, such as batteries and semiconductors, come from China or undergo some stage of production there. If the dispute intensifies, disruptions in these supply chains could impact the automotive industry worldwide, from Europe to North America. This underscores the need for diversification in production chains, a topic that had already gained attention due to the COVID-19 pandemic. However, not all is negative. Some Chinese automakers have already begun exploring the possibility of local production in Europe to circumvent the tariffs. This could lead to new investments and job creation on the continent, although the long-term impact remains uncertain. On the European side, increased tariffs could also encourage local manufacturers to invest more in innovation and competitiveness, strengthening their position in the global market. The path to resolution, however, will not be easy. Beyond protecting its industry, the European Union must balance its climate goals, as higher tariffs could make EVs less accessible to consumers. Moreover, the bloc faces pressure to maintain a stable trade relationship with China, one of its largest economic partners. Any solution will require a delicate diplomatic balancing act, involving bilateral negotiations and possibly agreements within the framework of the World Trade Organization. The future of the global automotive sector is at stake. What is clear is that the dispute between China and Europe goes far beyond tariffs. It is a battle for leadership in a rapidly expanding market where technology and sustainability play central roles. For consumers, this could mean changes in the prices and availability of electric vehicles. For governments, the dispute serves as a reminder that the transition to a green economy comes with complex challenges. In the coming months, the decisions made by politicians, executives, and regulators will be crucial. Will there be room for compromise, or are we on the brink of a prolonged trade war? Regardless of the outcome, one thing is certain. The impact of this dispute will be felt far beyond Europe and China, shaping the future of an industry that is both a technological showcase and a global economic barometer.